What are the main type of relationships, normal relationship and soul-related relationship, and how to distinguish them, how to tell what's best for us, and which one is what. Hi everybody, Federica here at Lifting Consciousness Academy. Many of you asked me to do a video and give some information or a brief overview about the different types of relationship. There are so many words that sometimes may hear like catchy or trendy words, but it's a bit overwhelming sometimes or confusing to understand what is what. And even when you have an understanding, it may be the understanding is not complete in that moment. It may be seen like as a progression, like a percentage of understanding that will grow as you grow as well, as your soul progression and human progression continues to evolve. So let's see. Relationship, we can refer to the relationship that we have in life, such as with family members, with friends, with colleagues, with people in general. But most likely in this video, we are going to be focusing in romantic, loving relationship. So there are so many words. For example, you may have heard about soulmates, twin flame, karmic connections, divine life partner. Before we delve deeper into this, I want to share all my gratitude to all the knowledge that has been shared in books, YouTube, videos. I am so grateful for anyone, not only from ancient traditions like our Mistress Majestic, Todd, the Kabbalion, Edward Casey on channeling the higher self, and so many other books of Hermetic principle, universal laws, anything to do with channeling, anything to do with how the universe works. But also to the people that nowadays, those that are past and those that are alive as we speak now, that went ahead and were so giving to share their story. Because it's not only sharing the content or the concept, sometimes in the stories, in the personal story that people share, there may be that key that we can open or you can use to open the understanding and unlock greater understanding of something that you're going through life. And that can make such a tremendous difference. So I'm recording this video for anyone who asks the questions or is willing to listen, but mostly I hope this video find all those people that, as I did with these others years ago, all those people that are navigating their awakening, their soul progression, and they find themselves through things that they may not be able or comfortable to discuss with average people around them, and they want to understand more, they want to navigate, they want to expand their understanding, and they want to learn what is available to them. So thank you so much, even for people such as Atina Bailey, Now Kroll, Erin Lyon, Suzanne Kisman, Constant Mesmer, another wonderful spiritual teacher. Thank you so much, not just for sharing your teaching, but also for sharing some personal story and analogies that were so unique and helpful for others to understand what is available and what is possible in this human experience as a soul. So let's go back to relationship. Let's start with soul. Now the soul, you may be familiar with, we incarnate endless of time, and ultimately all lives happen at the same time. Most of you are familiar with this. For convenience, often it is, even if everything happens at the same time, we refer to as past lives. Now, past lives may be a life that is still happening now, but like that physical life has terminated. Life can only be in human? No, there are so many other forms, but let's leave it aside for now. Let's just remember, if we consider Earth, on planet Earth, we incarnate so many times, and normally the soul, imagine like the crew, an acting crew, lots of actors. And so they would do the play many times and they would have roles, and sometimes they may decide to repeat the same role to reinforce and strengthen their abilities within that role. Sometimes they may decide to swap over so they can learn from a different perspective and maybe wear the other person's shoes to say, okay, so this is what he went through. And now let me help you to learn this lesson or to expand this understanding. This could be lessons about forgiveness, about acceptance, about love, about the ability to find your voice to speak up for yourself. So much. We go through the polarities of light, darkness, what we call evil, good, scarcity, abundance. Even in relationship, even in loving romantic relationship, we may experience lots of shade of this. Everything on earth has to do with expansion. Everything is a lesson. The moment you approach everything with this lens of, I'm learning a lesson, or what can I learn from this? How can I grow and expand better from this connection? Even the ones that feel like the heaviest, like the most traumatic. Regain your inner power by changing the lens and taking the opportunity to consider, yes, you still want to heal. Yes, you still want to acknowledge what you're feeling and process and put boundaries and either stop if it's something that is abusing you or tormenting you. But at the same time, regain your freedom and your power to approach and consider a situation with different eyes, to understand what can be the lesson, how can you grow better from this. So, for this purpose of expansion, of learning lessons and experiencing polarity and expand, progress as a soul here on earth in this human experience that we have, we also have contracts, and we travel as a family. So we would have soul family. In the soul family, who would you have? You would have your actual family. This could be your biological or other family. You could be the friends that as you go through life, you may find the closest to you. You may have someone that is very dear to you in work, in your career, in society. It may be a mentor. It could be someone in the community, maybe a neighbors, someone that happens to relate so much for you. Are they only positive? No, not necessarily, because as we said, we have lessons to learn each other. And so as behind the scene, before to go, okay, time for acting, the play is on. Let's play, say for example, I don't know, you're playing Romeo and Juliet. Before that, there is a design stage. And this, if you haven't heard that the soul already had a plan and lessons and contract to play out, and everything happens in likelihood and probability. So there are if this happened, then what happened? Like if two people, when we incarnate in the body, majority of the people would go through the veil of forgetfulness. So you don't remember all the agreement that you made in that design phase. And it's like when we're on the stage and everything becomes life, it feels so real. This is why some people call it the simulation. It feels so real, it feels so tangible. But as you expand as a soul and you start to understand, well, there's actually more, and I'm actually getting glimpses, when I say glimpses through the matrix, that there's more than this that I thought so far to be a reality, then you can start to intertwine and make sense of so much more. We help each other to understand lessons. So you may have someone supporting you, and you may have someone that has more of a karmic aspect. Karmic can be a lesson, can be a trait. Even someone that is benevolent, a benevolent presence in your life may have a karmic behavior, or they could be just a karmic episode, say an argument or something similar that happens, to help you learn a message or a lesson for yourself or for the others. Ultimately, remember, the goal is always that expansion and progression. Karmic can also be in a romantic relationship. So we understand that when we talk about soul family and soulmate, a soulmate is not necessarily and strictly a romantic other half or a love partner. A soulmate can also be a friend, a colleague, most family member could be soulmate. And just because as we incarnate many times, like that crew of actors, the family members may incarnate times and times over and over again. And this is why I also feel so easy, it's so beautiful that we choose one another and we may retain the same roles and say, okay, let's see if this time we get things right. Or we may say, okay, we mastered this lesson. Now let's swap roles or change something. For example, a person that in a lifetime was your sister, in another life may end up being your neighbor or a friend. As in, okay, we will learn that, we master that. Now let's still be in each other's life to allow each other to learn, but in a different way. All this is going to blend together with the relationship type because everything gets intertwined and supportive of the understanding. So karmic or benevolent can be traits, can be situation, can be a person. Let's focus on romantic relationship. When it comes to romantic relationship, let's just start with the karmic. What does it mean karmic and what does it mean good? Let's refer to the main. This is the definition that Source God wants us to embrace the most, and you should find consistency with what I'm about to say with so many other messages channeled from and to other people. Light and darkness is what is the most helpful concept to understand. In the moment where we start to use words such as good versus evil, then we need to just be careful not to go too much into that with the labeling. We can use the label just as a reference, but let's keep an open mind and an open heart and an open soul as we navigate through this. What is your point of reference? Even if you experience anything in energy or physical life, how do you know if it's something good for you or not good for you? How do you know if something is of the light or the darkness? You can see these with things, with energy, with people, with situation, with environments, with words, with food, with anything. Words have vibration. Even the words would have a vibration that can be more good for you, less good for you. Anything that is good, anything that is light would carry expansion. So if you practice meditation, or even if you're not an experienced meditator, but practice the habit of tuning in with yourself, of leaving the rational mind aside, let it fade, no judgment, just leave it aside. Keep coming back to your breath and then develop that inner skill of tuning in with the inner sensation. This could be things that you see with your inner mind eyes, could be things that the senses, maybe thoughts. It's like the information comes to you, if it's good or not, for example, comes to you like a thought, but you know that it's not a thought that you have generated with your cognitive ability. It just arrived to you. It may be more auditory, like you may hear a sound, but there's no actually physical person talking around you. It may be a sensation in the body. It may be a sense of expansion or constriction. That expansion or constriction is the key. Anything that is good for you, if you can tune in, you should find relevance and consistency of this in your heart and in the cells. And even in the energy field around you, if you're expanded to the level of perceiving that, if there is an expansion, that is light, that is something good with you. Any relationship that is good for you should enable you and support you in a cohesive, consistent, coherent way to be more of who you are in the good, in the best and highest way for you. When we have something that is not good for us, how do we know? There is a sense of constriction. So when we go inward and we tune in the feeling of the sense or the knowing or the vision or the auditory messages, if you're able to hear those, of the cells of your heart, of the field around you, of if you may be able to hear angel spirit guides, just the voice of your soul, the voice of source, anything you relate to. It could be not from this realm, it could be Pleiadians, Arcturians. So many of you are able to do this. You may be able to feel constriction if something is not good for you. You're not a psychic, everyone is a psychic, but if you're not familiar, if you don't feel you have developed or you're not interested in develop any particular, let's say particular abilities, then just think, did it ever happen to you? You shake the hand of someone or you enter in a room and you felt off immediately. You had that gut sense of constriction, like you felt your stomach shrinking or you had chills in an uncomfortable way. Those are signs. Those are signs to guide you. The soul is always guiding you. When you listen, there's always signs around you. Now, with relationship, depending on who you are, like in the mountain of your soul progression, depending on at what stage you are, your level of discernment could be at 0 to the top, somewhere in the middle in different shades. Does this depend strictly on how old you are in human years? Absolutely not. There are kids coming through with a level of maturity that is beyond what you can imagine. And there are people that reach like seniority in age and they still don't know how to discern. So even in this, let's approach neutrality and no judgment. Or just because someone has a PhD doesn't mean they have a greater discernment than someone that is living on the street. When you strip away for all preconception and programming and just are able to see not with your logic mind, but also with your heart and with yourselves and with your soul intelligence and to recognize, you can actually learn from anyone and anything, regardless of their position. And this is also important because the ego is the shell of who we think we are. Yes, it's here in a constructive way to protect us, to guide us, but sometimes it limits so much. And so it doesn't matter how many years of meditation or yoga practice you do. If most of the time you have your ego slipping through, thinking that you know better, or yes, sometimes people ask the questions, but they're not willing to listen to the answer. Like you need to be honest with yourself. Let's bring this back to relationship. You met someone, you know that person is right for you, or you think is right for you, or you hear someone talking about relationship. Are you really open and willing, with no judgment, to listen and then later on make your own decision and draw your conclusion based on that message, based on your experience, based on other people's experiences? It's constructive to ask questions, and it's constructive to use different sources to generate an opinion. So how do we know if a relationship is karmic or not? And pay attention. We were saying, depending on where you are on the mountain of your own discernment and maturity, and depending on what does your soul needs to learn at the moment. Many people say, I want the love of my life. I want my soulmate. I want to find my twin flame. Careful what you ask for, and we'll get into the twin flame as well. It depends of, are you ready for that? Like if a person asks you to become a millionaire, have you handled your energy, your ancestral trauma? Is that what your soul has designed for you in this life? Are you really ready to sit with wealth and to hold wealth, or to put in the work hours or the brain work to do that? It's the same in relationship. You're saying you do want the soulmate, or that very high relationship, even higher is the divine light partner connection. We're talking about frequency. Everything is frequency. The highest you go, the more coherent, supportive, consistent, beautiful, abundant that should be. The lower vibration, the lower you are, the more inconsistent, the more incoherent, the more you know that's likely karmic, that's likely not good for you. So this is how you discern. How do I know? This is how you know. It's very tricky because you might think that on the top of the mountain, you're close to the top. Instead, you may be down. Don't judge yourself. Don't be too harsh for yourself, and have compassion. Just understand the level that you're at, and things will make sense as you continue to grow. Why am I saying this? Because sometimes it happens. You meet that person and it feels so magnetic. You feel like, that's my person. Like, I've met the love of my life. I'm never being like that. Time with this person is worth all the rest of the life that I had, the intensity, the joy, I'm over the moon. And yet, give it time. Keep watching within you, keep watching outside, not just hear what the person is telling you, but also how they behave with you. How do they treat you? Do they treat you with consistency? Do they treat you with respect? Is that how you want to be treated? Are they making you more or less of yourself? And if the answer is, yes, this is good, but there's things that are not good, but I just think that's normal, isn't it? Well, actually, no, it's not. If there's anything that is putting you down, belittling you, toxic, that's not good. Now, we need to make a distinction here, and this is for everything. There is a distinction between a karmic behavior and a karmic personality or person. A behavior, it's something that people can absorb. Let me make this analogy. It's like you're not a smoker, and so you don't want to go around with a fragrance of smoking. But if you go in a room where everyone is smoking, or you're close by a person that is a heavy smoker, you may walk away and you may smell like smoking. So people may judge you because of that, but that's not you. That it's something that is attached to you that eventually will go away. Make sense? Versus you're a smoker. So if you've got that smell around you, that's you. That's something that either you are or you are deciding to be, whether you're conscious or not about that. Why this is relevant in relationship and karmic relationship? Because it is the same. Sometimes, so always look to, does the person has empathy for real, not just when in front of other people? And there are many people, like if we look at narcissists, psychopaths, sociopaths, there are people that are good in acting. There are people that have sort of many masks, that they would be able to behave in a way where in a room, behave completely different at closed door. And even in this, there are shades. So try to tune in with the heart of the person. Now we get also into biology, cells, pheromones, the way we do mating and partnership within human. This has nothing to do with male and female. You could be male with male, regardless of gender, okay? Regardless of physical body gender, because gender is in everything. Everything has a masculine and a feminine. So regardless of your inclination within what you prefer, when humans, the cells have their intelligence, and we produce what is called pheromones. when two people interact together, even in terms of sharing kisses, saliva, the smell that naturally the skin produces, the chemicals that come with that, there is a bonding that is creating. Like we have the bonding in terms of energy. When two people come together, there's a contract. It could be a short-term contract, could be a long-term contract, but there is an intertwining of the energies, yeah, that eventually will have to be dealt with. You don't want to keep open too many cords. That's for another video. We have the same at the cell level. And this is also a thing about when we give birth, when we generate a child, it is in the best interest of the child's survival for the parents to be intertwined and to be matched. So there's so that the cell has such an intelligence, similarly to the universe, to make sure that everything goes in a way that is safe for life and for procreation. So why is this relevant? Because that discernment, if you start to bond with someone, if you have sexual interaction, if you have intimacy, if you spend time skin to skin or close by, that can lead also to confusion in a way that you're gonna bond in a way that and then also we get into attachment theories and so many dynamics. It may become harder and more difficult to discern whether this person is really good for you or not. So just collect this information, take what serves you at this moment, leave aside the rest, and as you progress, you may come back to this video or just do this information and this understanding. So just know that when you feel like it could be a teenager, even in adult life, it depends. It still depends on where you are in that mountain of understanding. When you start to bond so much with someone, also, are you coming from a point of neediness? Have you been craving so much for someone that the first person that comes in and gives you attention, that's it? Or are you coming from maturity and you know, even if you're craving so much that beautiful love, that beautiful co-creation with a partner, are you able and you're so strong to know, no, I know what I want. What I want is up here. And so if something comes and is sort of half level, I'm going to make a conscious decision and I'm going to take responsibility whether I'm going to say yes or no. Because you also need to understand anything you say yes to will close or delay doors for something better to come. Yes, it's a choice. Like, you're free. Do you have to commit to the top? No. Like, it's absolutely fine. You can create beautiful partnership even with people. It's not a thing of ticking boxes. This would be normal people conversation. If your soul is awake, we're not talking about ticking boxes. We're talking about resonance of frequencies. And this is how you know. Someone asked me, how do you know if you're with your divine light partner or if you meet your divine light partner? You recognize them instantly, and it's a game of frequency. I'm using the word game, but it's not. It's a reality of frequency. Have you ever seen this video of the tuning fork? Like, I've got one here. But this beautiful sound of tuning fork operates at 528 hertz. If you would have close by a tuning fork of the same type with the same frequency, it will start to vibrate because they recognize one another. And this is like, thank you, no matter how crowded the space or if over the internet, you should be able to recognize one another. Now, sometimes you have similarities. So you may have a tuning fork 528 and one 432, and they're kind of similar. And if you're happy with it, go ahead and have a beautiful relationship. Sometimes you have 528, but one is a tuning fork, another one is, I don't know, a singing bowl. So there is free will, and this is why, remember that design phase, we may have agreed that, okay, first you're gonna go through some karmic relationships, so you get to know, you're gonna have something positive, and then if you stay longer, if then, like in a computer, everything is mathematic, everything is like, there's that creativity, but there's also that linearity that makes sense. If then, and free will. If you decide to stay longer in the karmic relationship, then you gotta either delay or lose other things or eventually go back later at those. If you understand it, the quicker is like in those labyrinths or escape rooms. The sooner you solve the riddle, the sooner you learn the lesson, the quicker you're out of there. And this is also where people talk about quantum leaping to better reality or collapsing, limiting lifetimes and getting to better frequency, evolving as a soul. And as you evolve, you're able to access better, beautiful relationship. This talk and what I'm sharing is quite broad and thorough. because in the audience there may be people that are at every level and in between. If you want to know more about anything specific, write in the comments below. Leaving aside the quantum jumping, understanding that everything has to do with frequency, depending on what you are, you still have the frequency. Advice for yourself that you can decide to embrace or disregard because you have free will. If you are in a relationship, so you've created that bonding at a cellular level, you've been mating for a long time, so it's tough to separate because that has been strengthening. It's like that bond, that connection that has been strengthening repeatedly. But go back to who you are. Do you feel expanded? Do you feel more of yourself or do you feel less of yourself? That's your answer. Do not ignore the truth. Remember who you are. Call in the light within. If it's not who you want to be, if the relationship is not serving in a way that is making you more of who you are or who you want to be in life, likely that's something karmic or it's a karmic relationship. You can close it, you can solve it, you can put boundaries, resolve it, acknowledge, heal it, transcend, go ahead. Soulmate. A soulmate relationship, it's someone that instead is guiding you. It would never put you down. It would never belittle you. Important distinction. So we said, how do you know if a person is good or not? Try to understand. Do they have empathy? Do they have heart? Are they a good person? Do they have good values consistently out all the time? Now, even good people can have bad days. Even good people, even your soulmate, can have karmic traits or behaviors. Remember the analogy of the person that is a non-smoker, that is nearby a smoker? It is the same. I've met a soulmate, good person, recognized instantly, like you hear, like even if not the person that you would normally be drawn to, there is something more. There is, and I've, just as reference, I've been through a karmic relationship, soulmates multiple times, twin flame connection, incarnated in this life, yet to meet the divine light partner, but in frequencies of telepathic communication and shades in between. And you would have sometimes people that are designing this life to share teaching, of course, like if you have a mathematical teacher, a teacher in math, they would have to go through lessons beyond of the level of the students so that they are tested and instructed then to pass on the knowledge. And this is what you would find like with shamans or other spiritual teacher. They would be put through tests so that they can learn and then pass on the knowledge to give the tools to others. I'm not telling you what it is. You have to apply and make the decision of what resonates with you, but you can learn, you can extrapolate what is constructive for you and use it, whether now or there are things that I'm saying to you today and that might click in years to come or months to come. So take what serves you. And it was the same for me. At some point, like, I remember, like now I remember the story that this person shared and this is similar to what is happening to me now. Or like learning that some contracts can be changed. And hence it helped me to navigate and collapse a lifetime or access to better situation just by myself or much quicker. Or sometimes you learn through sessions that you go with other people. So it's important to understand that sometimes you may have a soulmate, as in someone that is designed to support you, goes at with a tuning fork. Someone that vibrates at a frequency that is similar to yours. You may have also experiences of the soul free psychic senses. Like with this person, we had telepathy. We could feel if we were in the neighborhood or in proximity. We may have dreams or sensation. If he was intensely thinking about me, I would know that, message at the same time, this sort of phenomena. And this is not something weird or odd. Check out telepathy tapes or anything to do this that is, there's more science backing this up. Or conversation with animals, that's more 5D. The more you had lifetimes with a person and the more you develop that connection, like we saw and we touched briefly upon when you mate and have intimacy with someone repeatedly or skin to skin, and the cells, whether you don't understand it logically, the cells would develop a bond, is the same energetically. So you may have the skills, you may have this telepathy or inner feeling, intelligence that is creating that core with someone, and this happened at an energetic level. Although this person, like in the analogy of the non-smoker in a smoking room, had toxic behavior. And then it's really up to you. You can recognize the union, the magnetism with someone, but also you hold the driving wheel. Sometimes you have people that are ready to work on themselves. Sometimes you have people that already did the work on themselves. If you have the ones that did not work enough on themselves but are willing to learn, are you willing to give them time to progress? It can be yes. If you love someone, most likely it's going to be a yes. And constructively, you support one another with patience, with compassion, with living space, with understanding, with transparency, with the heart, with open communication, and enable the two to grow. Whether that is a soul connection or a connection with someone that is, look, I don't feel that frequency, I don't feel that spark, but this normal relationship is good enough. I recognize a good person, I'm decently attractive, we have same values, I decide to walk a long path with this person, and I'm excited and I'm honored that we're still gonna grow together. Beautiful, so many people do that. When you awaken to the level of also understanding frequency, that is difficult for you, especially if you experience a relationship that is twin flame, divine life partner, or soulmate, and when you get a taste of when you have all that resonance, you have lifestyle alignment, you have values alignment, you have personality compatibility and life direction alignment. When you also have the understanding of the frequency matching and alignment, is going to be like a huge difference. It's like when you awaken spiritually, to be with someone that is not awakened spiritually, it can be difficult. It cannot be the same. So it is like, will they embrace that or not if it's for the awakening spiritually? But when we talk to frequency, you're not going to be able to, you cannot make a person that is not a soul connection for you, a divine light partner or a soulmate, you cannot make that in something different. If it is, it is. If you know, you know. If you have a connection with your child, that connection, you feel it with your child. You may have another kid that you have kinship with, but there is something with you, there is something within your soul, your heart, yourself, that is clearly telling you the difference. And so often I use the analogy of the connection between a mother and a child to explain deeper relationship, such as the twin flame as well. Let me finish on the soulmates. So you may have a soulmate with karmic traits, and that is for you to make a decision. Will they improve? You can have a conversation. Look, this behavior is a behavior that you learn. Is it coming from you? Have you absorbed it? Have you been triggered by someone else? Soulmates also go through karmic relationships, so they may still be carrying baggage that doesn't belong to them. It's for them to sort out, but shouldn't be impacting on you. So if they are mature enough, they would take care of that and not vomit that behavior on you. If that's still happening, you can decide to put boundaries. And if the person is still behaving in a way that is negative for you, then you can decide, I recognize, I send light to this soulmate connection, but ultimately it's not for me. When a soulmate connection is coherent, is positive, can grow with you, or is already at a good maturity level, things go beautiful. That's those connections where you feel you resonate in frequencies, you support one another, you're like best friends, and life is so beautiful. Life flows in such a way that you enrich one another and you continue to grow. And it doesn't mean that everything is always perfect at all the time, but things flow. And you would not want to be with any other person than that person. In a scale of frequency, let's say soulmate connection, maybe pretty much here. Now at the very top, you would have divine light partners. Divine light partners, there is, so I'm also a practitioner in NLP, counseling, quantum healing, hypnosis technique. There's a session on this YouTube channel that I've done, the one that is called God Wants Humanity to Listen. And the title was Channel as well. Nilesh brings forth messages of Source and of the Archangel Metatron. There's chapters. Go and have a listen to the chapters that talk about relationship or divine light partner, and even Source in that channel way would explain that is a reality of frequencies. The frequencies need to resonate. And he explains, he refers to Nilesh. I've met Nilesh and I've met his partner. And it's so, I say this in the session as well, it's so enriching to be in their presence because you feel it energetically. Like the frequencies are so high, not just individually, but even more when they are in union. And it's cohesive, it's joyful, it's coherent, it's love, it's high. It is coming back to, is the cell expanding or shrinking? It's expanding. It's the pact around them have the same energy, have the same, like, it's healthy, it's safe, it's comfortable. This is how it should be. But it depends on the frequency. So, is it necessary that you want to find that person or that you are calling in for your soulmate or your divine life partner? Not necessarily. You need to be ready in frequency. So you need, like in the example at the beginning of the person that wants to become a millionaire or a wealthy person, you need to put in the work, the self-work to raise your frequency, shed all the limitation, ancestral trauma, limiting belief, patterns, blockages, karma, all the lessons that you have to deal, low energy vibration, entities attached to you. There's so much when you start to understand. So once you've peeled off all the layer, and it's progression, even there is progression, you don't do in bulk all at once. The more you evolve, okay, now you're ready, sort out these other challenges. You sort them out. You're not clear forever. You're gonna be clear for the next step. Then you're gonna have a few more layers to deal with, and so on as you continue to progress, until you reach a center point where things just flow easily and you're able to manifest in an instant. But again, this is for another video. Those frequencies, so when you reach a certain type of frequency and also your partner is at that high level of frequency, that's where you can meet. Source in that channel message says Nilesh had to wait 10 years for the partner to reach the frequency that they were able to meet. And when that happened, he received a telepathic conversation, as in drop any interaction that you're having with anyone else at the moment, in dating or etc. If you want to meet your partner, he's ready, drop it. He did. And 2 days after or the day after, he met her. And in the moment where you recognize, it's instant. Now let me, and as I've described to you already, what are the frequency? What does it feel like to be in the presence of such couples? So there are couples like Atina Crowell, K-R-O-L, Atina Crowell here in Australia. She is with her divine partner and she shares so much about it. And also her story of our spirit said, drop everything, you need to go up in Queensland to this location, and this is where they met. And years later, you can see also the growth that they achieved together, the way they supported one another. A divine life partner is someone that resonates a frequency very high, as you are, and is not just a relationship that is good for you or expansion, the expansion of you also in the physical, but is a divine light connection in a way that will support and help you to expand on the soul progression as well. So it's a very spiritual type connection. For you, it doesn't matter to be, for example, successful in your career or with material things, but also to progress and to learn as much as you can as a soul, to emanate as much light as you can as a soul and as a couple. And by the way, couples can also have contract, as in you may have missions for you to achieve as a human. There might be a design in that initial planning stage. There might be a design for the couple to achieve certain things for themselves, for their collective, for their family of the greater collective, for Gaia, for humanity, and so on. Soulmate, this level. Divine light partner, this level. Both of them, coherent, consistent. It feels like with your best friend. The frequencies are just Aya with the divine light partner. And it's so beautiful because there's no back and forth, like you both reach a level that you're just going up. Yes, there's still gonna be layer of ego that you may have to deal with. Yes, there's still gonna be things because also we're a soul in a human experience, and with the soul experience, there's so many limitations. It's still a proactive path for you to grow through. But you will know when you're there. And you know, how do you know? You know instantly. Your cells will tell you. Your heart will tell you. Now let me get into the twin flame. And when people speak, you understand what they know, and you also understand what they don't know. So that session, disclaimer. There are so many opinions with TwinFlame, and many people think that's fluff and it doesn't exist, and you're entitled to your opinion. Curiously, though, there are so many ancient text tradition, and if you go even online nowadays, there's millions of people that will share they are in a twin flame connection. Is it all true? Not necessarily, because as I made the example at the beginning with the karmic connection or the bonding, sometimes you think you have met your soulmate or twin flame, and people use the words interchangeably, which they are not, they're very different, but instead it's not. I'm going to make an example which is very human based, and I don't want to talk about sexuality unless in a constructive way, which is I'm about to do, because these are the analogy that sometimes just click and make sense. If you have a better analogy, help me out. But I found this very relevant. Do you know, and there should be no shame as well, because this is just the way the body was decided. That was the technology of the body, of the human cells, and the way we work, not just with the energy work, but also with the body. So orgasm is part of what we experience. It's one of the technology integrated in the body. When you are a teenager, or later in year, at whatever time you may decide to explore the intimacy, you with yourself or you with another partner, you may be, it's like when you learn to drive. You don't go smooth right away. You don't reach your goal right away. It's a progression. And in that initial state, you might be wondering, how do I know if I've reached an orgasm? You may not know. You may try, like from your 0 point, you may try an interaction and this was pleasant. Was it? And so you may think, this is what I've experienced, which is the same with relationship. This is what I've experienced, so this must be it. Give yourself time. Keep evolving in a way that is in light and I hope healthy for your best interest, and the other if you're interacting with someone else. But if you give time, you will know. Like, that's one of the things. It's like when people have a Kundalini awakening. You may try with it. You may try meditation, breathing practices, work, ceremony, plant medicine. When you're there, you know. When you're there, when you reach the peak, you will know. And when you will be there, most likely it's like, now I know. Now I understand what people were talking about. And now I also understand that when I thought I knew, I still was far. And eventually, like, I wasn't there yet. And you can give yourself compassion, you can smile about it and understand what fascinating learning journey we have ahead. But once you know, you have that point of reference, and then that you can make that better, but that's going to be the point of reference that you have. With relationship is the same. So you may be mistaken that the karmic relationship, that it feels so intense and passionate, and if you read about love bombing and everything and the cycles of karmic relationship and etc., or the narcissistic relationship, distinction. All narcissistic relationships are karmic. Not all karmic relationships are narcissistic. There can be a person that has just toxic behavior. It can be all narcissistic relationships are abusive. Not all abusive relationships are narcissistic. If this is supportive for your understanding, let me know. I'll give more information or videos about this. Let me move on. Understanding that there are distinctions. As you navigate, once you understand, okay, wait a second. Now I know better. I'm growing better. I understand. I thought it was not it. In the moment you meet your soulmate or Aya, you know, you say, okay, now this makes more sense. This is what I was looking for. And it may stay or it may evolve. Divine life partner, again, you know, and in the moment you recognize one another, you know, like the frequencies are just high and continue to rise higher. And most likely, if you're in that type of connection, which is very rare, you're not serving just yourself, you're serving humanity. So you see those people. There are other couples that come to my mind, but I'll leave it for later. Back to twin flame. Controversial topic, nonetheless real. Most people would say twin flame is within you. So it's not an external person. It's like you're naive if you're thinking about that the twin flame is that like divine feminine and divine masculine, it's something outside of yourself. You're a fool. The divine, that harmony between divine light, divine feminine, and divine masculine is within yourself and has to be harmonized between yourself. This is true. However, and I had like personal experience, revelation directly channeled from God, and so many other revelations and confirmation even from others. In that session, God will pull out my contract of my twin flame connection. And to the people that said, he's just telling you what you want to hear. Look, I'm skeptic and I make questions because I want to validate things. I want external points to validate where a nudge that I may have. And I also want to test, is this true? Is this false? It is half true. But I have my connection with spirit and I have my connection with my spirit guides. So I don't need to be told what my contract is saying because I know. And I have a lifelong expertise and that communication with spirit that is guiding me, whether that to reunion or not. We said in contract, like you may have both agreed that you can meet a divine light partner, but you need to be ready. If one person is here in their soul progression and the other person is here, now you make a decision. Either you wait for the other person to match here, and when they're ready, you're ready to recognize one another and intertwine. Or if you don't want to wait, and I feel all the women that say, I want a family, I want to generate kids, but at the same time, I want the special connection. What am I going to do? Like the other person is not awakening. Am I going to wait or no? Freedom, free will, it's up to you. And you can also channel the voice of your kids, by the way, to know if you have kids' soul waiting to come for you, or if motherhood perhaps was not a thing for you in this life, and you can always change contract and blend that with the free will that you prefer for this life, for this experience. Twin flame is a relationship that is designed to match, mirror, and at the same trigger. Is the opposite, is the polarity, is the embodiment of all the hermetic principle and the 7 universal law, including polarities, include rhythms, includes correspondence, as above, so below, and the mirroring. So many times, if you have any area, like there are things that are going to be same or similar, and there are things that are going to be opposite. For example, if you struggle in creating material things, the other person, your twin flame, may be very good in having achieved career things, for example, or wealth in terms of money, or etc. Your twin flame may struggle with finding their inner light, and you may have mastered that. So there is an aspect of being complementary one to the other. There's the aspect of things that are absolutely similar, and there are things that are the opposite, that are supposed to trigger you. It's like the mirror that is giving you in a harsh way the harsh truth of what you need. So every time, anything that you see in the other, ask the question back at you, is this something that I have to work on? Is this something that unresolved that I have? And you can use that to progression. So actually when twin flame cooperate, like you can grow. It's going to be painful. It's not necessarily going to be always pleasant, but it's going to be nonetheless absolutely constructive. So what's the thing with twin flame and what are they? Twin flame is the same soul. So normally the soul would incarnate in one body. Like in the twin flame, if the soul, we have millions of lifetime, okay? Do the twin flame that decides to incarnate in separate way, in separate bodies. Most likely if this happened, this is in 2. However, because God's source wanted to experience everything and the opposite of everything, I've also heard about stories, Erin Lyon also shares this in some episodes, that twin flame may incarnate in 3 or 4 people, that they would recognize one another eventually. Even if you don't want to, the life soul guides would present you, would like at some point you will be reunited with these people, or just have presented with the opportunity to meet one another. Whether it is that's digitally or then in physical life face to face. I had conversation after the session with Nilesh. Nilesh channels God. Nilesh hasn't got his twin flame incarnated in this life, so the soul is in him, but he is with the divine light partner. Erin Lyons talks about, why am I sharing this? Because you may trust public figure that channel God's source and receive information telepathically or channel directly for voice about this type of connection, although, like if you're a mother, you may explain that to someone else, but when you explain the message, they may blend that with this, what their experience, and share it to someone else in a way that is not quite what it is for you. There's much more that they are missing because they are not living that. Make sense? If this makes sense, the reason why, when I hear these people talking about and explaining twin flame connection, there's something that I don't resonate with. I support what they do. I love what they share. I'm on board with most of the things that they do and they say. Although I realize actually it's not like that. There are things that are yes, and there are things that are not. And even having a conversation after the session, so when the person would finish the channeling, we had a conversation afterwards. I understood the thing that he understood and the thing that he was not missing. The twin flame connection, if the soul has agreed in that physical experience to separate into and incarnate in 2 different bodies, and you've met, like you're not, most of the time, like divine life partner you meet, normally that's for life. Soulmate, if you're lucky and you're both mature enough to keep one another, that's going to be for a lifetime. It may be for a period. Twin flame, that's super rare. Now, normally, like you spend enough time together to awaken one another, or just one of the two awakens. The other one may be dormant, may have not recognized the other, although there are things that you know instantly, and I'll give you my experience in a second. But then there is a separation, and then there can be multiple cycles. For some may have reunion planned, as in at a soul contract they had a stage where they were set to reunite, and also their union may have contracts for the collective. This was my case. Or they may be planned not to reunite in this life and still have so many lessons for the soul progression to learn as the journey, because also source reminds and makes sense logically. How strong do you need to be to walk a path alone in this life? But everybody, the lesson of everything, the purpose of life, the purpose of earth and the universe is love. Is that unconditional love. Unconditional, as it is not dependent of needing something. It's just love. It's just his. It's just supportive. It's just sending light. It's just union. And that really, that love, that beautiful feeling that intertwines and respects everything and wants the best, the highest good for everything and everyone. So that's the ultimate purpose. You may have a path to work alone to strengthen your soul, to learn the lesson, but don't despair at the same time. If you think, oh, maybe love is not for me, maybe you're not meant to find love. Love is for everyone. And the Creator himself has created all these just to learn more about love. You may have heard other video. If my throat chakra starts to vibrate and I get moved, I'm on the money. I have just said something that my soul was trying to guide me for the public, that is important for the public to hear, and my reaction speaks that that's the truth. That's the truth. That is like the, excuse me. I'm feeling expansion. It's just to understand when you channel something, how do you know if that's legit or not? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel not? Do you feel expansion? Do you feel constriction? I feel love. I feel expansion in this moment. So yes, the Creator orchestrated this whole beautiful creation for the purpose of understanding and developing more of unconditional love. And love is the ultimate lesson. I'm getting so much chills in this moment. Just remember that. Just remember that. If any connection that you go through, you feel harsh, you feel so much that you cannot hold it anymore, have that communication with your soul, and you can ask, like, this is too much for me. Recently I went through something that was so tough that I had to have this communication. Look, give me a hand, give me a pause, or tell me, show me, what do I need to do better? How do I overcome this? And so on. Help me to manifest something in the energy world or in the physical reality, because I need support now. This is a conversation that you can always have, like science, like nature. Don't be afraid to ask. Refer to children with their purity. They are not afraid to ask the question, why this and why that? Can you help me with this? You can ask. Don't forget how to ask, but also leave the ego aside. Keep an open mind that when the response comes, and it may not come in the way you expect to, you are intelligent and loving and open enough and mature enough to grasp the signs. Maybe not 100%, but make sure you grasp the sign, and you can continue to ask. I developed the conversation with my spirit guides and free quantum healing technique. When I bring the clients in regression and they channel their soul, when they channel the spirit guides, most often you hear the spirit guide saying, we speak to this person all the time, they just don't want to listen, they just don't listen. look, it's a two-way conversation. So there was many times, I've learned so much for that, and many times that I had conversation with my own spirit team and say, do you understand that I don't understand? Do you understand that I'm not hearing you? So just speak louder, or be consistent. If you love me, be patient with me. If there's something important, don't give up. I'm giving you permission. Come through. I'm giving you permission. Guide me. I want my soul to guide me. I want source to guide me. I want to be in light. So guide me. And I've seen the progression into that. This applies also in navigating relationship. If you navigate for a karmic relationship, soulmate connection, normal connection, divine light partner connection, if you are in a twin flame connection, and again, everything is in a twin flame connection. If your soul had not agreed to incarnate into separate bodies, then the divine feminine, divine masculine would be with you, would be within you, and that's an inner journey. I've also got something that was revealed via channeling, another special way to do with mother and plants, and directly from the twin flames. This is important. I've shared with you that when you have with that type of partner, soulmates, divine light partner, even twin flame, you may have telepathic connection, you may have a sense, you may have dreams where you dream one another. With twin flames, this is enhanced so much. So you may have vivid dreams where they come and give you messages, or all sort of things. There are experiences where the person dreams the person before they meet them in the physical, and when they meet in the physical, they recognize one another. If you have a twin flame incarnated in this life, praise, good luck to you, lots of self-compassion, and don't feel alone, but also discern. 100% you had several other lifetimes where you both incarnated, and you had several lifetimes where one of the two did not decide to incarnate, or the two incarnated in the same body, as it would happen for other people. It's all a learning. And to those of you that really get, no, this is not true, want to prove it wrong, why does it bother you so much? Why does it bother you so much? Like, let me come back to the analogy of the mother. If you don't want to be a mother, why do you have to shoot so much or bother the people that decided to have that experience? Let it be. If it's not on your path, let it be. You're welcome to ask questions. You're welcome to stay curious. But if it's not something that is relating to you, keep an open mind, by all means. Characters, yes? So there needs to be someone to play the light, and there needs to be someone to play the darkness. That was the design with Earth and this 3D dimension that humanity has chosen. But just overcome those people. So if you navigate your twin flame connection, I have people that I know that also are in a twin flame connection with the other person incarnated in this life, and there is this relatability of normal people don't understand, of course. So just create that strength, create that resourcefulness within you. Let me tell you, I've told you what happened when I met my soulmate. I've met difference for life, even when I was not spiritually awakened. It felt like in the moment we've met someone for months, and then when we had that first kiss, it lasted for hours. And I want to say this with the more reverence, respect, and light as possible, because it felt like we were on clouds. And I was joyful. I was more of myself when I was with this person. We were very young. We were in our 20s or so. And so we both had then made mistakes and separated. There are, again, the people that then have maturity or just go for life in a smooth way. They may end up getting married, having a family. That's so beautiful. And that is not just enriching them, it's enriching the people nearby them. Coming back to the session, with that person that I did the session with the divine light partner, source as well in a channel way says, yes, all the people that are nearby are enriched and awakened by that frequencies that are so high and of light that will help you with your soul progression. It teaches you. When you see someone that is enlightened, when you're in the presence of someone that is high frequency, it would teach you something. It would enrich you in a way. If you're in the presence with someone that is with dark energies or low frequency, it would teach you something else. It would give you a different sensation. And that's exactly the same with relationship. When I met my twin flame, I remember I was already sort of awakened, not as much as I am now, but I didn't have like psychic gifts active by then, but decided to do a meditation, went for big like karmic things that were almost resolved, but not completely. Actually, we met on an app. So as bizarre as I did, we met on a dating app. We decided to meet. I remember like I was sending this signal to the universe, like it was a frequency thing of like tuning into the frequency of something higher, and it was sort of there were signs that we were ready to meet. I didn't know anything about. I did not know the existence of TwinFlame by then. Get to meet. We meet in this public place, and have you seen Disney lovers? Those grew up in the 80s or in the 90s. Have you seen the Disney movie Pocahontas, the cartoon? When her and John, they meet, and there's the wind that rises and the leaves, the nature around that generally creates a spiral, and the time stops and everything is magical. Not only I felt that, but also in the eyes, every cell of mine recognized there was something. It's like this is so bizarre, but it's like I recognize the masculine version of me incarnated in someone. It had the same flows. It's like a recipe with almost the same ingredients, if not the same ingredient, like the same level of a bit of humor, a pure heart, and so many traits that are so unique, like in the recipe that makes you. If you are with your twin flame, most likely it would be so similar, and there's that connection at a cellular level that is so hard. But at the same time, it would not be all smooth. It would be triggers, mirrors, match, and things that repel you, things that really attract you. And it's not just a physical attraction. It is something so ancient that the soul knows. So normally there's this big bang, let's call it that way, that is not karmic, although it can have karmic tracks, it can have karmic sentences, or like it can have things to trigger you. And maybe also the person is processing some karmic past relationship that this person was doing at the moment. And there would be things that you know that you two recognize one another, but as I said, someone may decide to just use the rational mind and block everything. This is another thing that is so common in all other relationships. People that went through something karmic, so they've been hurt by someone that initially they felt this big magnetism with, they felt this attraction, they felt that was their person, they loved it so much, they gave, if they came from a pure heart, they gave their heart in the hands of this person, and then they have been manipulated, hurt, or etc. They may have put a wall, and if they don't learn how to discern, they may then decide to keep a wall regardless. So every time that they encounter something, wow, I'm so drawn to this person, everything feels that sense of almost disempowering, so strong it is. Like when people say are in the presence of something very high and benevolent, it's so overwhelming that is almost disempowering. That's also normal generally for men, but not necessarily for people that are used to retain that strong ego. If it's something that is making you so open and vulnerable, many people want to avoid that because they want to remain in a powerful position for that honor survival. But remember, when love is healthy, you don't need to be that way. Yes, you want to have your boundaries, you want to have the discernment, you want to be able to protect yourself and the others, but you shouldn't be fearful of being vulnerable and of opening yourself. And unfortunately, many people do and keep the wall. And so they also, they keep away the karmic people, but they also risk to keep away the good people. So how do you know? If you're strong and courageous enough, allow time. Leave an open mind, like when you do meditation. Over time, if there is inconsistency, then you may know if something is not right. It may be a karmic person, it may be a good person that needs to learn their lesson. But if you are supported, you are loved and accepted just for who you are, then you would know that's a relationship that is good for you. But this has to be consistent over time, no matter what, unconditionally. It's not caveat, I love you only if you love me back. That's not unconditional love. We know this, right? So it needs to be freedom. And like everything, like the cycles of overcoming abuse or trauma or attachment, with love and a twin flame connection is the same. Such because the nature, like your soul, decided to grow to such level to God that I had this conversation with God so many times, and I said, like, God, like he's not awakening, like I've context in real life. I've met my twin flame sort of 3 or 4 years ago, and after those few weeks together, we separated and barely remaining to contact. He doesn't want to hear from, he did not decide to recognize me and etc. But I know. How do I know? I have vivid dreams. the cells would know. If you awaken, you know. If you channel, you would know. I had messages from God directly, telling and remembering also. There are lessons, there are contracts for the couple to achieve, but not only that. So with that free will that you can choose who eventually to mate with, you can always decide. And if you are navigating this connection right now, you know how tough it is. There are people that reunite in their 70. There are people that never unite. There are people that reunite, get married. I know a couple here in Sydney, TwinFlame, went with each other, communicated only online because of different countries and the pandemic for years. Finally met, married together. They still had their inner stuff to resolve, so they were not evolved as full. They end up divorcing it after a few years. And they may reunite again. It's a path, it's a walk. If you walk on yourself and the other person work on their self, the truth always wins. So if you had contract to reunite and you also do want with your free will to reunite, that will happen. That will happen. Each path is unique. Each connection is unique. It doesn't have to be the same for others. Surely, like if you're in the connection, I feel for you because I know once you know that level, once you know, you cannot unknown. Yes, you can make other choices. Yes, you can put healthy boundaries. You can send love. If reunion is not a thing, or if you decide to move on, you can. Now, you're not going to be able to forget. And this is also how you know the difference. You can leave aside and completely close door with a soulmate and not be you can be able to move on. If you are in a twin flame, it's like having a twin. It's like having a sibling that is a twin. You can live in different countries. Ultimately, your cells will remind you, your soul will remind you that connection is there for a reason. Nothing is by coincidence. It may not need that you need to reunite. You may have decided to walk that, your soul may have decided for you to walk that path, which you agree to, by the way, even if you don't remember it in your physical body, to learn something very special, very important. But you can still decide if you want to go ahead and create a family or just have a relationship with someone, you can. It's very tough to do that. So I went through so many cycles. There's denial, separation, doubt, anger. Eventually you transcend, eventually you alchemize. So many steps like that mountain that we see at the beginning. When you get, so even for like, well, this relationship, this bond that is undeniable can even be transmuted in a highest form of what if I just know that I have a twin, like a sibling, and it doesn't have to be romantic in that way. And I transcend, that it overflows so much of love that I'm just able to send joy, freedom, and this person to be loved. And I just send love. And this is how I am navigating. And then I've ultimately, another thing is surrender. Surrender doesn't mean that you have no expectation, but surrender means that you're not forcing an outcome. So many times I have put the situation in the hands of God. And I said, God, this is who I am. I walk in a path of light. I'm here to serve you and light. And this is what coherently, I haven't been forced, but it's something that you, with free will, in conjunction with what your soul is here to decide for you. So you can use your words to shape reality and invite that in. I trust you, like you know me, you know the best for me. It's good also to retain the sheer will of, if you want to change something, you can. But it's like, I want to live a divine connection. That connection that is supporting me, that is an expansion, and then you know the plans, you know the sort of contracts that I don't know fully remember. You know, most importantly, at what stage the other people are. Because, and this is also in the session, afterwards I had a conversation with the person that was hypnotized, and he told me, because when you're on the bed, you would also have the visual, which I would not, as from the therapist chair. And he said, as Father, as Source was giving these messages or opening your contract, I could see. And I could see sort of you as me being like here, still work to do, but on a higher level, and him in his spiritual awakening being sort of here. And now I go back to where I say to the women or to anyone that wants a relationship and has been waiting and has been put so much work in that spiritual awakening, or do you want a family and there's biology, so there is an age to maybe procreate and etc. What do you decide to do? Because ultimately that is your free will. Do you decide to wait if, because it's an if. Nothing is guaranteed. Yes, I know my contract says we plan reunion for this life. I also know that we're quite late on that comparing to the initial plan, but I also know that that might not happen. And I need to be okay. This is the unconditional love. You need to be okay with everything. Love respects you. God, source, respects you. However you want to call source, the creator, Allah, respects you regardless, just for who you are, and respects your free will that is part of this incarnation. So when you love someone, it should be the same. You can give them time, by all means, communicate, try to awaken one another. Oftentimes I approach as in, if I would be in the other person's shoes, so if I had contracted to reunite and I would not awaken, what would I wish the other person to do? What would I wish my twin flame to do? Would I wish them, like for example, let's say that I'm saying, I'm not interested, I don't want to hear from you. Would I wish them to go ahead? Or if my soul wanted for me to awaken, would I pray for someone that is going to be supportive, not pushing, but just supporting, respecting my space, but still being there with me and sending me energy or sending me support to awaken? Me personally, the latter, this last one, is the one that I would wish or aim for. I would love and appreciate for someone to still be supportive, to still have an approach that is mature, is in light, and is unconditional, is just supportive, and just patient. If I'm not ready to awake, just be patient with me. If you have such level of connection, like a mother with the child, you're above, you're patient, you're loving, you understand, you're compassionate, and so on. It's not easy. It's not easy in any way, but it can be done. And that comes from an heart and a soul of just unconditional love. Sometimes people decide to put doors and to take separate paths, and that's okay as well. But if it's a twin flame connection, you would know. Nowadays, psychic messages and readings are more available than always. Big ring, always for your disclaimer, learn how to discern, because it is true, you've got scams in any marketing or physical businesses. You would have scams in the energy healers and works and psychic readings, etc. So make sure you really trust someone if you go for a reading, or develop your own way in meditation. You can ask in meditation and develop your senses to get a clear yes or not. There's way for you to develop an understanding of discerning if what you receive is the truth or just some energies trying to mock around you, manipulate you, because that is always a thing, not just in the reality, but also in the energy, spirit communication. If you know your discernment, if it comes from your heart, sustain 3 times, you always want to ask 3 times and you get a yes, you may know, you can ask. Do I have a twin flame in this life, incarnated? Yes or no? If you're with someone and you think that's your person, you can ask, is this my soulmate? Is this a karmic connection? Ask questions. Develop, one basic book is Channeling the Eye Yourself from Edgar Casey. It's an ancient book, but still valid. There's so many more. And he always says there are so many ways to channel as there are channelers, just infinite possibilities. You can develop your own ways to seek answers and then validate with others eventually. But there are ways for you to know. You don't need to walk blind in a black room, and also know that psychic gifts and soul progression may be still a walk on a mountain that can expand for life. So that I hope everything was helpful, and if you have even any other question, there's more that I need to say on Twin Flame. You may have seen other messages that I've channeled through automatic writing and telepathic communication from other galactic cousins such as Pleiadians, Ashtar Command, and etc. And there is a message, one of the earliest messages that Pleiadians passed me for humanity was on Twin Flame. I haven't yet made a video on that, and that's still apologies on my own blockages of not wanting to talk too much, but I have been reminded even from source so many times that there are people that want to hear this message and need to hear this message, and not because what I'm saying is the truth, but because there can be something constructive, and it's important sometimes just to hear from someone else and find that relatability. So I hope that if this video can be helpful for you, I hope it is going to find you. And if you know someone that may navigate in something similar and it may be helpful for you, you can also share this video or send me any question in the comments or in the details below. So we've touched about how the souls reincarnate, the soul family, the soulmates, the karmic connection, divine led partner, twin flame connection, we've seen an overview. I've mentioned some of the session that may contain additional channeled informations, and you're always welcome to ask questions at any time. I'll send you so much light and love, and thank you for watching so far and being here. I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.